The following presentation is brought to you by the Realm Network.
The Attitude Era is widely considered by many as the greatest product the WWE has ever had. Now, relive the entire journey with exclusive commentary, insights, and episodic discussion with head writer Vince Russo.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to this edition of Raw. What was it good for? We're going to be looking at the May 11th, 1998 show. All right, Jeff, let's talk about everything. Not everything, but rest. Let's talk about Raw. What was it good for? May 11th, 1998.
Okay, so we have a show here, May 11th, 98. We're still a few weeks out from the next pay-per-view, Over the Edge. So we start off, the JR says there's going to be a blockbuster announcement from Vince McMahon, and that we have exclusive footage that DX has assaulted the WCW offices and that WCW called 911 on them. It's funny, I forgot all about this. I totally forgot about this show, these segments. It was great, the surprise to see these again, because I thought we were done after the last ones. I forgot that they did this stuff. So you start off with that show. There's two reasons right there to continue watching. Vince McMahon starts off right off the bat, and he says when Steve Austin comes through the door, he's going to be notified that he has to compete tonight in tag team competition. You know, at this point, he changes his direction. He starts talking about Dude Love, the man who's willing to make sacrifices, the man who is the number one contender, Dude Love. And Dude comes out in a suit, tie, glasses, carrying a Wall Street Journal, and he shaved, his beard. He just had a nice, clean goatee. He says he lost his smile, but now, because he has identity crisis, but now he knows who he is, and he found his smile, which was, I'm assuming, a nod towards Shawn Michaels' promo from a few years back. And then he hugs Vince. Vince says he has a surprise for Dude for his Over the Edge title match against Austin. So he's going to introduce, there's going to be a guest timekeeper at Over the Edge, and he introduces Gerald Briscoe, who comes out. He's the guest timekeeper. And then Vince says he's got another surprise, that there's going to be a guest ring announcer, and he introduces Pat Patterson. So Pat Patterson comes out. He's going to be the guest ring announcer for the title match against Austin at Over the Edge. Then Vince says there's just one more surprise. There's also going to be a special guest referee, and he does this elaborate description putting this guy over. Vince says the special guest referee points to the ramp. Nobody comes out. He does it again, your guest referee. Again, nobody comes out. So Vince is irritated. He heads up the ramp and through the entrance to investigate. So we see a few moments of Briscoe and Patterson talking. Announcers are building anticipation. All of a sudden, Pat Patterson gets on the mic and introduces a special guest referee. He says he's the best there was, the best there is, the best there ever will be, Vince McMahon. So Vince comes back out in a sleeveless referee shirt, and they all get in the ring. And you got your lineup of Dude Love, Gerald Briscoe, Pat Patterson, Vince McMahon, all raising each other's hands in the air in a line. A lot of stuff there. I skipped a lot of it because there was just so much. But so let's get your thoughts on this segment.
Well, first of all, Jeff, I want to say, bro, I honestly forgot about all this stuff. So, I'm sitting here not knowing who the ref is. Honestly, I did not remember any of this stuff. So, I kind of got it, as we were getting closer. What about JR carrying on like George Foreman just knocked out Joe Frazier when he realizes that Dude Love has his teeth in? JR makes that the biggest thing, bro. How long he's known Mick Foley and has never seen him with his teeth in. And by God, he's got his teeth in. Okay, and JR makes the biggest deal out of this. First of all, bro, much applause. Bro, you know how you're always reading? And I never understood this. You read online a lot about, bro, people going to the WWE shows and getting their signs confiscated. As Vince is coming into the ring, and the sign is there all night, and it kept popping me every time I see. You know what sign I'm talking about?
The Rock one?
No, that one too. This one was even better, bro. This one was "Lick my nuts, Vince." Bro, like I'm just going hysterical because I'm thinking of everything you read today where they come take your signs. Vince is walking, bro. The guy's right on the barricade. It's there the whole show. Lick my nuts, Vince. I found that very entertaining. Okay, so bro, let's talk about the writing in some of Mick's lines. He is a reader of Greek tragedy. Okay, bro. And bro, a surprisingly good dancer for a big guy. Again, bro, butt that up against the first segment of last night. Please. And tell me the same guy, okay, bro. Then then we got Vince had a terrific line here. He goes through the whole thing. He introduced Jerry Briscoe and now Pat Patterson, and he's talking about the referee. Bro, is this not a brilliant line Vince had? The referee swims in a sea of temptation and never runs amok. I mean, bro, are you freaking? Do people not understand how freaking important writers are to the show? Are you kidding me, bro? And bro, listen, let me be perfectly honest with you. It's not just the line. Of course, it's the delivery of the line. The way Vince stands there and says that with a straight face, swims in a sea of temptation and never runs amok. Bro.
It's like people were asking me, someone asked me on Twitter why Vince could be so good back in these shows and he wasn't last night. And it's no material, man. I mean, you need material. You could be the greatest actor in the world, but you need material.
Bro, I say it all the time. Robert De Niro was in, The Godfather Part 2, an absolute masterpiece, and Robert De Niro was in Rocky and Bullwinkle. It's that simple. Go watch him in both of those movies and put the heat on Robert De Niro. Bro, the highlight of the night for me. The highlight of the night, Jeff, I hope you got this. They give Pat Patterson the mic. And Pat Patterson says, and I quote, on May 31st. The 31st, bro. Not the 31st. On May 31st. Come on, bro. Please. I mean, are you freaking kidding me, bro?
But I like how we're still 20 days out from this pay-per-view. So we got 2 more Raws. And now we know this. Austin's fighting Dude Love. Vince McMahon, who's been trying to screw Austin out of the belt, is your referee. His cronies are doing the jobs ringside just to be out there. I like JR's line. Oh, he'll be ringing the bell, like whoopity-doo, you know what I mean? But the anticipation for this match starts to build right now, and we're still 20 days out. So by the time we get there, I can't wait to see this match. And look at build-up anticipation building compared to today's matches. From week to week to week, do you get more excited for the main event of the pay-per-view you did back then? If you did, good for you. I certainly don't. So. And
Jeff, when's the pay-per-view?
This one is May 31st. Yeah.
Jeff, can you explain this to me? I want you to explain to me because I'm too close to it. Okay, yeah. Jeff, listen. When you sit back and watch this, bro, they literally do the monkey see no evil, hear no evil. They literally do that in the back 5 minutes later. But bro, this is clearly Steve Austin versus the Three Stooges. Like, that's the way this is set up. But bro, again, the beauty of this is the Three Stooges, they believe this. They got him this time. This time on May 31st, this time they got him, okay? So it's bro, this is totally the three, Mo, Larry, and Curly. But they somehow believe it. And then, Jeff, I just want to say, because you saw this last night, then you fast forward to Jericho, New Day, and the Usos. And it's a joke. There's no there's no realism to it whatsoever. You're sitting there just saying to yourself, like, how bad this is. What is the difference, bro, with these guys? Like, you felt that they honestly believe they're gonna get one over on Austin, and today, fast forward, and it's just like, man, this is really bad comedy. What's the difference, Jeff?
The writing.
Well, Jeff, you want to say something about the writing? Because I made a little note about this. Because, Jeff, you'll never see this again. And, Jeff, really think about how simple this is, right? So now, Jeff, all the emphasis is on Austin. He's got a tag match tonight. He doesn't know about it. Wait until he finds out. So now we got Kevin Kelly standing by, waiting for. You will never see this. You will never see this ever. Because, bro, the level of writing that this is at compared to where they are now. But so now, like, it's all okay. Who's his opponent? Who, Bubba? You're thinking Austin. Who comes walking through?
Sable.
So now you're sitting there saying, oh my God, that's right. This is the night that Sable wrestles Mero. But, Jeff, again, it's not effing rocket science. It's the simplest things. So now, bro, look at what we have at the end of this first segment. Like I said, bro, last night, 6:31, my time, the first segment just ended. Bro, look at the three things we know at the end of this first segment. Okay, we know the Austin story. He's going to be forced to wrestle tonight. With a partner. Blah blah blah. We know that. We're waiting for Austin to come in. We know DX has launched an assault on WCW, and the last thing we're reminded at the end of Seg 1 is, oh my God, tonight Sable wrestles. That's not hard. That's not freaking hard. That's why I get so disgusted, because how difficult is that to do, Jeff? Line up those three things where it's like, where am I going tonight?
Like I was saying, man, the people that understand how to do this, it's not difficult. For people that don't, it is difficult. So if you got people in the job saying it is difficult, they need to be replaced with people where it's not difficult.
Yes.
And look how many times we keep going to Kevin Kelly, building the anticipation when Austin's going to arrive. This was a staple of this time period. You weren't going to forget what was going to happen because we kept reminding you, here's Kevin Kelly. And the next time when we're coming up to it, there's somebody else there. But like you said, he's waiting for Austin. Sable walks through. She's focused. She won't talk to Kevin Kelly. So Michael Cole says she's intense. She's getting ready for the public confrontation with Mark Mero. Next is the DX invading WCW, the first of those segments. So they actually go to the WCW headquarters. And if you didn't believe them, they showed the sign on the glass. And they're talking to the security guard. A couple people recognize him walking up. It was kind of funny. The security guard won't let him in, and they said there's more coming up. So was this another? Do you remember when this got filmed? Was this you guys were already down in Georgia? Let's do this now.
We sent them during the week. This was another. This was a Bruce Pritchett. We have no problem saying that. But Jeff, I got to tell you this. I never saw this footage before. Jeff, I worked in that building. That's where I worked. That's where my office was. That's Smyrna, Georgia. I mean, that I worked there, and I had never seen this footage before. But we see that. Then, bro, let me just say this again, because again, people think this is not written. From there, we're waiting for Austin. Here comes Al Snow. Okay, Jeff, do you know? Last night at the end of Sheamus and Dean Ambrose, we're at 31 minutes into the show. After the Al Snow spot, so after everything we talked about, bro, guess how much into the show we are?
17 minutes.
17 minutes and 47 seconds.
That was a guess.
May 31st. That would have been the best thing on the show last night.
So we go to Kevin Kelly waiting for Austin again, and it's Al Snow. There's rallying on the door. He opens it. It's Al Snow. Al Snow's got head. He's lost. but he says he has tickets for the event, so he's just trying to get into the arena for tickets.
And bro, I'm going to tell you too, like that was I was responsible for that because I had seen a couple of episodes of ECW, and I saw what they were doing with that head gimmick, and I was like, Vince, because keep in mind, Vince knew Al Snow is Leaf Cassidy, and I said, bro, they've made Al Snow over. This gimmick is absolutely tremendous, and that's how we got, Al from ECW. But yeah, bro. But again, just the boom, boom. You're waiting on Austin Stable, waiting on Austin Al Snow. Somebody's got to write that stuff, bro.
Next is Vader versus Barry Windham, and the New Midnight Express. Jim Cornette are out with Barry Windham. We're told that Vader is going to face Kane at Over the Edge, and the loser will have to unmask. Which I remember always thinking is strange because I'm like, Vader's mask always comes off. Do you remember what this is all about? Because like in WCW, the mask always came off.
Yeah,
like,
no, bro. I don't remember that at all.
Yeah.
I don't even obviously Vader's mask comes off, but I don't remember that at all.
Yeah, but Vader wins with the Vader bomb. Midnight Express get in the ring to try to fight him, and Vader ends up taking him down. And then it's Kevin Kelly again, and this time it is Austin. Austin pulls up, slams on the brakes. Kevin Kelly says to stay with us. He's going to try to get a word. We go to commercial.
The only thing I could think about while I'm watching this, bro, is when I made the comment about, it would probably help Kevin Owens to lose some weight. And I started getting some comments like, what about Vader? So Vader's coming out here and I'm thinking of Kevin Owens. I mean, bro, compared to Vader, Kevin Owens is the size of Vader's last dump. You know what I'm saying? It's like I was getting pretty pissed off when people were making the comparisons, and I hadn't seen Vader in a while. And then I see Vader here, and I'm like, you really want to make the comparison of Kevin Owens to Vader? Are you sure you really want to do that?
People don't understand the size difference between wrestlers now. And the Yokozuna one was even more ridiculous.
Oh my God.
But later on we got Terry Funk and Scorpio coming out, and they were announced at 511 pounds. Okay. So they're each Kevin Owens' size. So put that into perspective when looking at Vader.
Yeah.
But I don't think people realize how much the size has just shrunk in these wrestlers. I mean, Vader was larger than life. You saw Vader, who is this guy? He stands out. Kevin Owens is just a normal guy.
Well, that's what it is, Jeff. We're in the wrestling arena, and these guys aren't threatening. They're not threatening. Okay, bro, listen, I'm 55 years old. I'm sure Dean Ambrose could kick my ass, but I wouldn't be afraid of Dean Ambrose. I wouldn't be afraid of Kevin Owens. I wouldn't be afraid of these people. I'd be afraid of a man the size of Vader. I mean, people just don't understand bro. Again, bro, you just have to go back to a lot of them don't even know what they're talking about because they never even saw freaking Vader, bro.
Yep. So we come back from commercial and we see footage during the commercial. Kevin Kelly spoke with Austin. So he informs Austin that Briscoe and Patterson are going to be the special timekeeper and ring announcer at Over the Edge, and Vince McMahon will be the guest referee at Over the Edge, and that tonight Vince has ordered him to be in tag team competition, but he has not said who his partner is, and he has not said who his opponents are. So Austin quickly speaks about the Over the Edge deal, and he says Vince can do what he wants, but he's not going to jerk the belt from him. He's not going to back down or whatever. And so then he turns the attention to tonight and the tag match. So he asks Kevin Kelly where Vince is, and Kevin Kelly doesn't know. So Austin takes the microphone and starts walking off, and you can tell he's pissed off walking off, perhaps looking for Vince McMahon.
And then, bro, if you notice, looking for Vince McMahon, boom, right into LOD music. We don't waste a second. I said this so many times, especially with this show. This is a runaway train. Just when you think you can breathe, okay. All right, we're waiting on Austin. Here comes Sable. Blah, blah, blah. All right, we're waiting on Austin. Here comes Al Snow. All right, here's Austin. Austin's looking for Vince. Boom, LOD music. Somebody has to write it that way, bro. It doesn't magically come together. These are live shows. These are not produced. These are live shows in the moment. It has to be so freaking precise. Please understand television, man. Woo!
So Hawk versus Skull of DOA is next. And while they're on the way to the ring, JR says that DX is going to meet the Nation in a 6-man over the Edge or during the match. I got the feeling that this was announced too soon. Like, because the storyline hasn't even started yet. The storyline between those come out late in the show. JR had mentioned several times he didn't have a format. I don't know if that was legit or not, but I just felt like the announcement of that match was too soon. Like, it shouldn't have been announced there because you never got the match and then the story developed. The matches always came from the story, and we really don't have a DX Nation story yet to make that match. We only have Owen and Triple H. So the rest of it comes in later in the show. So I'm watching this and I'm wondering if they just said it too early. I don't know.
No, bro, that's a very, very, very good point. And like, Jeff, I don't remember the whole not having a format gimmick because like everybody was always so prepared. So I can't believe they didn't have one. I have to believe they were using that because they really wanted to get over, like, we have no idea who Austin is wrestling. We have no idea who Vince is, going to assign as his partner because he hasn't let any of us know that. So, like, I think that's what they're trying to get over because, bro, we never did not have a format or weren't prepared. So I think that's what they were trying to get over. But that's a great point, Jeff. I agree with you 100%.
So anyway, I forgot to mention the reason why we're having this match is because of the last episode where these guys were on the same team in the 8-man and there's dissension in the ranks and they had the big brawl. Skull is down. Referee's tied up with Hawk and 8-Ball rolls in, rolls Skull out. Obviously, nobody can tell these guys apart. The announcers cancel. Obviously, the referee can't. 8-Ball gets the cheap win on Hawk, rolling him up, and they pull the switcheroo. I would have to imagine that we're not done with this thing. JR did mention that maybe this is why they mentioned the DX Nation match, because JR said both of these teams want the title shot at the Outlaws, but they won't get it at Over the Edge because the Outlaws are wrestling in that 6-man. So perhaps that's why it was mentioned here. Thoughts on we're several weeks into this now, and you briefly commented on it. I think it was the last show or the one before. Looking at Sunny's role here, what are your thoughts on that? Because to me, I'm watching it, and it's just like she's just there. You know what I mean? She's really not.
She's just eye candy, bro, and we could have done a much better job. Like, there's no doubt about it. I've said that before. We could have. She's just eye candy, and we could have done a better job. We just didn't, and we should have. I will take absolute full responsibility for that.
So next is the next DX skit, and this time they're at the CNN Center, and they go inside. I mean, so much was said here, but my favorite part was when Billy Gunn tells the security guard, "Tell Ted that Degeneration X is here, and I'm sure he'll send us right up." And you hear the security guard go, "Degeneration X," like he's going to do this.
That was classic, bro.
Yeah,
that was classic.
I popped huge for that. They got some nice shots with the fans and stuff. And then you can tell, I think it was X-Pac saying they're telling us we can't film in here and stuff like that. Next, we had an Edge vignette, and I had a couple questions when watching this. Is because this is a completely different one than the last one we saw. So was that a definitive strategy that what these guys, and especially we've seen it with Val Venus, that every intro vignette we see is different?
Oh, you know absolutely. I mean? Absolutely. They have all week to work on it, bro. Absolutely. Absolutely.
The choice was made with Al Snow to not do vignettes, to show up, tickets. He's trying to watch the show. He wants to see Vince McMahon. That's a different way to introduce somebody. Was there any specific reason why? Did you assume a lot of people already knew who Al Snow was from ECW, or is it just the storyline was cool? We'll do this one with Al Snow.
Well, bro, keep in mind too, probably what went into that decision was this show was in Baltimore, Maryland, and ECW did have its following on the East Coast. And that was probably also, bro, why we made the decision to put him out in front of the people. Because if we had ECW people there, because ECW was popular on the East Coast, they would know who Al Snow is, so that would give him a little bit of a kickstart.
And then we see a scene from earlier today in the parking garage. Bradshaw is teaching Taka how to drive a car, and they're smoking cigars. And Taka's spewing foul language. I thought that was funny. So they show him pulling out, kind of reminded me of Ferris Bueller. I don't know. Remember when the guy goes over the thing? But they go out, and then they show them coming back, and then now they're being referred to as Kaientai. They ambush them in the car, and you see Yamaguchi, like mouthing off and giving them orders and stuff.
Yeah, and again, bro, it's like it's one thing after the other. I mean, this is the first time we're seeing Bradshaw and Taka, doing something together. And then, like, I'm watching this, and I'm like, okay, we're introducing them, and then they're getting attacked by Kaientai to keep that going. But, bro, I had a really laugh. Like, just this week, I think Bill Apter, like, interviewed Dixie Carter. Because, bro, she'll interview with everybody in the world but me, which I think is just hysterical. But, and, bro, she basically says the line, we're not competing with WWE. We have to find our own niche, this and that. Bro, what would have happened if when the WCW was kicking our ass, we would have turned around and said, yeah, well, you know what? We're not competing with the WCW. Like they do their thing, we do our thing. I mean, basically, like Dixie here is just conceding we will never be as good as the WWE. Bro, I'm going to go right back to it. It's like if I'm if I'm the coach of the Cleveland Browns, right? Am I ever going to say we're just never going to be as good as the New England Patriots? So we're gonna play our games over here, and we'll be happy to finish at 5. Like, is anybody ever going to say that? And like I said, if we would have said that when they were killing us, WWE might be out of business today. But the fact that, we went head to head and we had the balls and we challenged them, you're getting history here. I love too, bro. We're going into Double J and Farouk.
Yeah, and Steve Blackman's with Farouk.
And that was also a follow-up from last week. Double J cost them the match. I mean, that's what I'm saying, bro. And the WWE today can't follow up in their own show, let alone next week.
And we're told here that we're told of 2 matches with these guys coming up at the pay-per-view also. Blackman is facing Jarrett, and Farouk is getting an Intercontinental title shot against The Rock. So both those matches are coming up at Over the Edge. And also the stipulation is that Slaughter has barred the Nation members from being at ringside, which, this is always interesting to me when those type of stipulations are thrown in, because that's where you have to get creative. Okay, you got The Rock now, the heel, the cheater, coming up against Farouk, who's now the new babyface, doing things the straight way. The Rock's the champ. Now he's fighting him at Over the Edge for the title, okay? The Nation's not allowed at ringside, so Rock isn't going to have his buddies. I know The Rock wins because I remember Farouk never won the title, but I'm interested to see how it was done now, because it's kind of like, let's write ourselves these odds, but we want it to go the other way. Like, you're writing this, you think Farouk's going to win. I'm 99% sure he doesn't win the title. So I'm just interested to see how that goes, because especially with barring the Nation from ringside.
Yep.
So during the match, the Nation does run out here, and they assault Farouk, which causes a disqualification. And then Double J, if you remember last week, Blackman got the last shots in last week when he came out and was beating up Double J on the floor. So here Jarrett's getting his comeback, takes Blackman's nunchucks and beats the crap out of him with his nunchucks. So next we see Austin backstage heading towards the ring. We go to commercial. Come back from commercial. Austin comes out, says he doesn't give a rat's ass about Vince stacking the deck.
Before we get to that, you know what the amazing thing is here, Jeff? When Austin comes out, JR says, and he says it twice, listen to this, and he lays out for the pop of the crowd. Can somebody tell me when's the last time somebody came through a WWE tunnel where the announcers could have fittingly said, listen to this. And bro, keep in mind too, Jeff, these are giant pops in front of a smaller crowd. We're still playing small buildings at this point. You're not playing a Phillips Arena or a Pepsi Center. You're not playing those places. And bro, trust me, I've been in those places when it's a capacity crowd and it's a Billy Joel or it's a Rihanna. I've heard pops from those size crowds. I've heard pops like that. So like, the crowds they're drawing now in these big arenas is probably more people. And my God, bro, it's probably not even a quarter of the pop that these people got back then.
So Austin says he doesn't give a rat's ass about Vince stacking the deck at Over the Edge. He's not going to whine and complain. Switches to tonight. He says Vince won't tell him who his opponents are, who his partner is. He said, but the least Vince McMahon can do is come out and give him some information if he's any kind of man whatsoever. So instead of doing that, he shows up on the screen with Patterson and Briscoe, and Vince asks them each, do you know who his opponents or partners are? And Patterson says no, and Briscoe says no. He says, well, the only thing we can do is offer you a gesture of good faith. I think he says gesture of something. So they do the see no evil, hear no evil, speak no evil, where they each one of them, covers. That just reminds me of Planet of the Apes. Remember when the Planet of the Apes, when they have the three guys that's doing that at the table? I don't remember which Planet of the Apes it was. It just reminded me of that. But I know it's the monkey statues from however long ago when those things came out. So obviously they're screwing with Austin. But Austin gets the last word. Okay.
The exact line, because it popped me huge, was when Austin asked for the information. Vince's exact line was, we're going to give the information in some sort of gesturing capacity.
Yeah, that's what it was.
I mean, bro, that's brilliant. I mean, that's just brilliant, bro,
Yep. So Austin says you can cover your eyes and your ears and your nose, but not your ass. And when this is done, that's where he's going to stick the belt.
Oh, God.
No, we're not even going to go to commercial with that. We're going to show Sable stretching.
That's what I mean. It's like, okay, like, oh, my gosh, bro.
So Sable's up next. And then we get sort of a montage of all of Val Venus's vignettes so far thrown in, all the best bits. So next is the Sable Mark Mero public confrontation. So they get into the ring, first Sable cuts a promo, calls them out. They get in the ring and they start to, go around like they're getting ready to lock up. So then Sable stops and says, okay, Mark, I never really thought you were going to actually let it go through this far because Mero's ready to go. She says, but if that's what you really want, then I'll give you my best. So then Mark Mero says he accuses her of trying to weasel her way out of this. And then he picks her up for the TKO and he holds her up there, for a decent amount of time. Everybody, holy crap, what's going to happen at this point? Because this stuff didn't happen back then. I mean, we're being introduced to men versus women. You know what I mean? This wasn't a thing back then. So this is a big deal. Is he going to give her the move? Then he puts her down and he says, see what I could have done to you. But he's such a gentleman, so he decided to let her go, and he wants her to apologize for trying to ruin his career in the WWF. So Sable says, here's your apology, kicks him square in the nuts, and then gives him a Sable bomb.
Well, you forgot one very important point.
I know. That's the thing with this. There's so much material in every segment. Like, it would take me 3 hours to jot this all down. You know what I mean?
I'm disappointed you missed this though, Jeff. When Sable came out, Lola let Jim Ross know, thank God I took another Viagra today.
Yeah.
Bro, which is incredible. But, bro, I got to point something out here, though. And, bro, here again is where you have to give so much credit to freaking Mark Mero. First of all, I want people to go back and listen to the pop when she gets him in the Sable bomb. Listen to the freaking people. And, bro, watch the Sable bomb, because for a woman to deliver that to a man the size of Mero, bro, people forget Sable was a novice. Mero trained her for a couple of weeks before she had her first match. And when you look at her deliver that Sable bomb to Mero, you could see that it's not easy. And if you really understand it, you would realize how much work Mero really had to do. But again, that just speaks volumes in, everything he did to help get her over. You know, I mean, I never thought he got enough credit for that.
Yeah, and you know, to me here, not only that, the kick in the nuts was the key to making this believable. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Any guy watching this who's been kicked in the nuts knows what it feels like. So that's the out here. That's how Sable is able to get this move on Mark Merrows, because she clobbered him in the nuts. Yeah. So it's not like she just punched him in the face, put him down for the power bomb, and power bombed him. There was a reason why she was able to do that, because, you know, of that kick. So I like the details and stuff like that to make things where you would probably say, well, there's no way in hell this would happen, to actually believing that, hey, then maybe that could happen. Mm-hmm. While Lawler and JR are recapping this, here comes The Undertaker out of nowhere. Shows up at the announce table. And I like this because there's no entrance music. It wasn't a big deal. It's like The Undertaker was on the hunt, and he found Lawler. And he assaults Jerry Lawler, and this is a response to the conversation last week that Lawler had with Paul Bearer. One of the funniest things.
Bro, would they ever in a million years, in the crapitude era today, Taker had ever gone after Lawler? In a million years, that would never happen today. But if you're Taker and you're watching that, your reaction to everything Lawler said, your reaction is, I'm going to kick your ass. You know what I'm saying? That, bro, that would be so overlooked today that it's not even funny. But again, I just go back to this. Somebody writing this. Here they're talking about this. Freaking Lawler turns around and there's Taker. I mean, come on, bro. You can't turn off the channel for a second, man.
He comes out, knocks Lawler down, throws him in the ring, gives him a choke slam, picks him up for the tombstone, but then the lights go out. Kane's music hits. Kane and Paul Bearer come out to the stage, and Paul Bearer says that either the truth must be hurting The Undertaker about him being Kane's father, or he doesn't believe a single word he said. And then he says, and I just thought this was brilliant, he says, but I told you that Kane was alive, and you didn't believe that either. So that's like, he's pointing. I just thought that was a cool line to throw in there, and a cool thing to make the viewer go, yeah, he's right. He did say that. So maybe he is right about this. But he says next week he's going to prove to the whole world that he is Kane's father. So they leave. Lights come back on. Taker does tombstone Lawler at this point. So now, okay, here's something for next week. Paul Bearer says he's going to prove to the world next week that he is telling the truth and he is indeed Kane's father. So we come back from commercial, and Al Snow comes out to take Lawler's seat, and he sits with JR, and he puts on a headset, puts a headset on head, which I thought was funny. But he's looking for Vince, and he wants to talk to Vince. Like, so, you know, he sits down at the announce table trying to find Vince McMahon. So here comes Pat Patterson with security, tells him to get Al out of there. So they remove Al Snow, and you keep hearing him say, I need to see Vince. I need to see Vince. And then JR says, I thought he was in ECW, but he wants to see Vince for some reason. So I thought that was a cool little throw in there for maybe the people who didn't know where Al Snow came from. So then we get a quick simulation of DX blowing up the CNN Center. You know, they shoot do a thing where they shoot their rocket launcher off the Jeep. CNN Center explodes. And then they immediately come out. Pop is freaking enormous at this point when this music hits. You look at what these skits did, turning these guys babyface. I mean, we heard it the last time. I thought this pop was even bigger than the ones when they went to the arena. Yep. X-Pac, he does a shoot on Bischoff. I'm assuming Bischoff had said something in an interview or something since the things. I know at this point he has challenged. It's either coming up soon. This is the month that he challenged Vince McMahon on his motorcycle, you know, to meet him at the pay-per-view. It's the same month as this. So I don't know if that's happened yet or what, but obviously Bischoff said something about X-Pac, and X-Pac fired back at him. So the Outlaws do their shtick. Triple H starts to do his, and he's got a CNN press pass on his crotch. Before he can finish, Owen Hart's music hits, and Owen Hart interrupts him. It says they have unfinished business. Triple H says he's right there waiting. So Owen starts to walk towards the ring, and he stops, and then he waves out the Nation. So the Nation are coming out for backup. We go to commercial at this point. So any thoughts up to this point before we go to the match?
No, you know, but again, you know, we talked about a couple of weeks ago, you know, why, you know, how the Owen turn made all the sense in the world. And this was the moment he was waiting for, to go down there by himself. And Triple H saying, "You want me? Come on at me." All of DX is in the ring. Then Owen has that big smile on his face. Here comes the rest of the nation. So that explains clearly, why Owen Hart. And bro, look at this. Look how quickly Owen Hart became a heel. I mean, by the time he's down there and the nation comes down, in 2 weeks, whatever it is, Owen Hart has become a full-fledged heel.
And that also goes to show how over Ken Shamrock was as a babyface at the time, too, because he did that to Ken Shamrock. So stuff like that helps when you have these guys want to do heel. Man. If they do it to a meaningless person.
Great point, bro.
That's another plus to making sure everybody on the roster do your best to get them over. Before we get to the match, do you remember anything about WCW calling 911? Like, did you get the details on that?
Yeah, bro, that was all Bruce. I mean, so like, I really don't, bro. I the funny thing is too, Jeff, the thing you were just talking about blowing up I had never seen that before. It was the absolute first time I saw that, bro. I had never seen it before.
So we come back from the commercial and we have a match now, and it's Owen versus Triple H. Non-title match. Triple H's European title is not on the line. So Jim Cornette has come out at this point. He's replaced Jerry Lawler, so he does commentary the rest of the show. The match ends up being thrown out. Commissioner Slaughter throws it out because there's a giant pull apart. China had interfered, hit Owen Hart, when he went up to the top rope, caused him to fall down. The Nation comes over to go after China. China grabs a chair, so the Nation and DX get face to face. Referees pull them apart, and this is where I'm like, I really feel like that match shouldn't have been announced yet. You know what I mean? I feel like this is the part of the reason why we're getting that match coming up at the pay-per-view. But I thought it was cool they didn't touch at this point. You know what I mean? They really didn't fight with each other. It was all anticipation and the referees pulling them apart. So I thought that was kind of cool. Next, Dustin Rhodes comes out on the stage, and he's dressed in just black. Doesn't have his makeup on or anything, and he's got the gold dust attire in his hands, and he's got a trash bin, and he puts the outfit into the trash bin, lights it on fire. Says he has worked too hard for 3 years for Vince McMahon, and Vince McMahon took away his dignity with his sick imagination. Says he caused him heartache. He's lost his father. He's lost Terry and his wife Terry and Dakota, who's his daughter. And then he says he was punished. Vince tried to punish him, putting him against Kane because he couldn't beat Austin. He says Goldust dies tonight, and he tells Vince he will never forget the name of Dustin. So a really big segment here on stage. You're just kind of, nobody saw this coming. It came out of nowhere, gets the viewers' attention. So I want your thoughts on this. And then, like, did you hear that fan yelling at him like clear as day?
Bro, I have to tell you something. What the frig is their excuse to not have somebody watch these shows before they put them on the network? I mean, seriously, bro, they have hundreds and hundreds of employees. Are you freaking kidding me that you don't have somebody look at this footage when a guy is clearly saying, Dustin, you're a because you're a at least
it was like three. It was at least three times.
Are you kidding me that you don't have somebody look at this? I mean, come on, bro. Give me a freaking break, man.
A lot of times, a wrestler, when they change gimmicks, it's just for no reason. You know what I mean? We're not going to do this anymore. We're going to come out dressed like this, or we're just going to do different things. This is just a huge storyline right here, and he has a reason why he's not going to be Goldust anymore. And this, I know this goes on for a bit, but thoughts on this, and did you remember this? Because I totally forgot about this particular segment.
I totally forgot about it, bro. I mean, I totally forgot about it. Yeah, bro, but listen, Goldust was red hot in its original form. And then, there started being complaints, especially from overseas and stuff like that. And they just yanked the carpet out from under Dustin. So we tried to go with the artist formerly known, it was like being half pregnant. You really couldn't do it. So it just got to the point of, what? Screw it. If we can't have Goldust, let's just screw it. You can't have a watered down version of who that character once was, and that's why we did this way.
Now, how much of that was the truth at the time?
I think, bro, and I don't want to speak from because he's since passed. I think Dusty did have some issues with the original Goldust gimmick. I really do. I think he had some issues with it. Terry, getting divorced from Terry had nothing to do with the character. Dustin just kind of threw that in there. But I mean,
that was going on at that time, right?
Yes, yes. Yeah. That's why Luna, kind of took over the role of Terry, because that was going on at the time. Yeah.
So next we have a match. It's Terry Funk and Scorpio versus Kaientai. So Yamaguchi-san comes out, and he's got a flag that says Kaientai, and he introduces them after he insults the crowd. So Kaientai comes in through the crowd to get the jump on the match. But Bradshaw and Taka come down for their revenge from what happened earlier in the day, and they run down after Kaientai, and the match ends in a DQ as Kaientai runs off.
Back then, clean finishes, you didn't even talk about clean finishes on TV. Like they meant absolutely nothing. At the pay-per-view, you wanted to pay it off with a good match and a clean finish, but on TV, it meant absolutely nothing. And today you get all the bitching and moaning and complaining if there isn't a clean finish to a fake wrestling match on television. Back then, that didn't mean a hill of beans, man, So
we see Vince talking to somebody who is off camera, we're assuming. We can't see this person. And he's telling him, we're led to believe this is Stone Cold's partner coming up. And he says, Austin has never had a physical specimen like you as his partner before. So a quick tease that we still don't know who Austin's partner is. So then we get to Al Snow again, and he's trying to get back in the arena. And he lost his tickets at this point whenever he got escorted out before. So he's at the wrong door again. He doesn't have the tickets this time. They won't let him back in. So next, the Nation comes to the ring. And The Rock says that just finally the fire between The Rock and Stone Cold reignites. So The Rock is announcing that he is one of the opponents, but we still don't know who The Rock's partner is. We're assuming it's one of the guys in the Nation at this point, as the entire Nation's out there. So we see Austin heading towards the arena. We get a quick shot of Briscoe and Patterson rubbing Vince's shoulders, and we go to commercial. So then we come back. Steve Austin comes out. JR says they've been informed that D'Lo is The Rock's partner. So Rock and D'Lo are the opponents. We don't know still who Austin's partner is, but then you hear Vince McMahon from backstage, and he introduces Vince McMahon as Austin's tag partner. So obviously the fix is in here. JR goes berserk. Vince comes out as the partner. Briscoe and Patterson come out with him. Basically the entire match, Steve Austin. I mean, it is the entire match. Steve Austin, it's a handicap match versus The Rock and D'Lo. He never goes to tag Vince. At one point, he goes outside the arena and he beats on Patterson and Briscoe. So the next time he goes down, they hit him on the outside of the ring. So at one point, the heels are getting the heat. The heels are getting the heat. We're at the spot where the babyface goes for the hot tag. So you think Austin's going to try to tag Vince, but this is where the character comes in, and this is where the psychology comes in, because there's no way in hell that Steve Austin is going to want to tag Vince McMahon here and ask him for his help. And the whole time he's crawling, I'm like, there's no way. Austin wouldn't do this. And so he throws him the double bird. I mean, that's character in a match. That's psychology. That's a lot of stuff we don't see today, where their personality comes out in the way they wrestle. Stone Cold Steve Austin, the man you see on TV, is not going to reach for Vince McMahon's hand to help him out. I thought that was great. So at this point, Austin ends up regenerated, turns around, stuns D'Lo, goes for the cover. The Rock breaks it up. But he missed Austin moves. He hits D'Lo. He throws The Rock out of the ring. But then Vince has had enough. Vince runs in and absolutely clobbers Austin. You look how Austin sold that clothesline, man. He's you believe Vince McMahon just absolutely annihilated this guy.
Yep.
So then Patterson and Briscoe run, and they start giving Austin the boots. So Austin ends up fighting back. He gets back ahead of these guys, but then Dude Love runs in, and he takes down Austin. Chaos erupts. Dustin Rhodes comes in, so we got to follow up. Obviously, Dustin Rhodes is upset with Vince McMahon. He's had enough. So he comes in. He pulls Dude Love off of Austin. And then DX runs in after the Nation. So we got, how many stories are in the ring at this point? At least 3. You know what I mean? Going off a hot brawl, and we go off the air at this point.
If you look in this match, Austin stuns D'Lo, and throws Rock out of the ring. You see how the Rock was protected, bro? He didn't stun the Rock. We didn't give him the payoff. Rock was totally protected by being thrown out of the ring. That's it, bro. I'm curious to see, I'm just curious to see next week. Like, one thing I want to see is the handling of Al Snow, because like I totally forgot that. Like where do Mero and Sable go from here? Now that she's embarrassed them in front of everybody. What's the proof that freaking Paul Bearer has? I mean, there's just so much to tune in next week.